Listen, y'all, the Cowboys got some problems, and it starts and ends with practice.
We're talking about practice, man.
Yes, practice. Let's listen to Mike McCarthy's most recent presser, and then we'll talk about it.
So that tells you that, the effort and energy is there, but the detail and intention needs to go up. That's going to be a big part of the message today. So we're not as detailed in a number of areas on our football team, which is normal for any football team that I've ever coached to be part of. So for it to be highlighted with a brighter light because of external opinions, that's not the way we work. We sell scout every day, sell scout every week. And I think the biggest thing that's come out of this, once again, we met as a staff this morning at 7, and is we need to spend more time in group settings. Our coaches do a really good job because, 10 years ago, I felt that there was an epidemic of PowerPoint coaching, and we really spend a ton of time of making sure our players see a tremendous amount of video in the structured meeting time together. So we need to build off of that and make sure that we do that, not more in the individual. Where I'm going with this is we got to get away from as many individual meetings. We need more group because our connection between position needs to be higher. You can talk about details and buzzword the hell out of these conversations, but the reality of it is if the connection between the positions doesn't increase, then the unit production is not going to be where we want it to be. So that's really going through with a fine tooth. You still only have the same amount of work days. You still only have the same amount of work hours, but it's specifics of how can we be better. And that's probably one of the biggest adjustments we'll make as far as our training regimen.
We keep hearing this word details, and Mike McCarthy, he just talked about it again there. Details, 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 and you heard attention. He's saying the effort's there, but the attention level's low, and they're not picking up on the details. And it's not the first time that we've heard that. Jordan Lewis has talked about details. He said details about 175 times in one post-game interview. You got Dak Prescott out here talking about poor practices. And listen, you don't get your ass whooped 3 times out of 6 games, and one of them against the Saints, who I don't think is a better team than you, if you're practicing well, if you're prepared. This team's just not prepared, and it's not me speculating. This is from their own mouths, okay?
Detail, and that comes with, today's practicing.
And now you got Mike McCarthy talking about how they're going to be doing more team activities, team-based activities during practice instead of individual drills. And if this needed to be done, this needed to be done at the start of the season, not going into week 7 here. Or week 8. So I don't understand how you can have a team full of professional athletes, guys that are getting paid to be out there on the field. I know my job, your job, we all have different jobs, different responsibilities, but we're expected to bring an element of professionalism to our careers, right? To our jobs, okay? Part of, and really the first line item on being an NFL player or a pro athlete of any sort is you've got to show up to practice. You've got to pay attention. You've got to give effort. And paying attention is just another word for effort. If you're not attentive to details and paying attention when you're making mistakes, if you're not watching the film and taking notes appropriately, whatever it might be, if we don't have details, to use that word again, on the lack of attention where that's at. But this isn't going to be a good team if you can't even practice. Some of these guys, they're superstars, and so I don't know if they think they can just show up on Sunday, Monday night, whatever it might be, and just be great, because you can't. Think about the all-time greats, okay? We'll just go with Tom Brady, okay? And look at the team that was around Tom Brady. It's a team of professionals, and it's not because Bill Belichick just rode their ass into the ground every day. He was a tough coach, right? But at the end of the day, you had a team full of players and leaders who held guys accountable, their peers, okay? You had a team full of guys who wanted to win, who showed up to practice every day during the week, and you could tell on Sunday because that was a well-oiled machine. Now, guys like Gronk, okay, you got some guys here and there where it's like, probably didn't really pay attention to all that much. They had out-of-this-world talent, and some of that gets erased when you have a guy like Tom Brady playing quarterback who can just point you in different directions, tell you where to go before the snap, tell you what you're supposed to be doing, all right? But for the most part, your team has to show up to practice if you want to be competitive. And it's very troubling to hear that there is a lack of attention to detail in their practices. Now, is that on the head coach? Does he have to babysit these guys? Or does he have to put the system in place as far as the scheme, the structure of the practices, Okay, is that the head coach's duty? Or is his duty to inspire his guys, to get them ready to play intellectually and say, hey, you're not paying attention. Get your ass over here and shape up, or I'm going to, you're going to sit out, or whatever it might be. Okay, is that his job? Or is it on the players to be grown-ass men, right? To be professionals in their careers and to actually pay attention, do what they're supposed to do during practice. Because until practice gets resolved and these guys have a desire to show up Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, whatever it might be, their Sundays are going to continue to suck. And there's no way around it. You can't just show up. This isn't basketball where you can show up and score 35 points and just be an individual contributor and be the reason your team wins. You have to have all guys on your side of the ball on the same page, or this shit just isn't going to work. You're going to get these blowouts repeated all season long. That's the most troubling part about this team to me, is that they can't even put in the basic requirements at this point from their own admission, from Mike's admission, and the players. They can't even put in the level of attention required to at least be competitive against good teams on Sunday. We'll see if it turns around. Maybe this bye week changed some things. They changed the structure of their practices. Maybe you guys can pay attention now. I mean, that's just troubling to hear. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know below in the comments. But that does not bode well for the future of this team unless these guys can figure out how to just, at the baseline level, get in there and pay attention.